If you see me doing this, I'm not genuflecting. Just telling you to raise it up a little bit.
Okay.
Kind of mimic me would be good.
No problem.
All right. We're back on cue. Scoot over a little bit.
We are.
All right, beautiful.
Great.
I dig that orange shirt. Welcome to Security Guy Radio TV. Where am I again? I'm SecurityGuyTV.com. I
Yes.
changed my name last year. SecurityGuyTV.com at Black Hat 2017. And I want to welcome Mike Weber from Coalfire, coalfire.com.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show. What do you guys do?
We're a cyber risk advisory firm. We help clients achieve their cybersecurity goals through assessment and consulting. My particular group within the company is Coalfire Labs. Coalfire Labs is the team where we do all of our technical testing, our penetration testing, our red team operations, and our hunt operations.
This is right up your alley.
Yes,
You
it
know,
is.
you're excited about this,
Vroom,
aren't you?
vroom.
Yeah, all right.
Excellent. So we were speaking a little bit earlier today. The company was started in 2000,
It was.
and you've been there for the last 7 years.
I've been there quite a while.
Exactly. That's wonderful news that you just shared. Can you tell us about the consulting services that you will offer, and which industries as well as sectors will you cover?
Sure. So we do cover all industries and sectors. We have a federal team and we have a commercial team. Are the services that we have to offer. My particular services for Coalfire Labs are penetration testing, everything from simple vulnerability assessments through those full scope red team operations engagements. We also have a hunt operations capability where we come in and help customers find that needle in a haystack. We also have a small forensics shop as well.
So when you talk about hunting, are you talking about external threat hunting as well as internal, for example, fraud detection?
No. So it's threat hunting on the network. So it is an internal job. As far as fraud detection, we don't really specialize in the fraud detection. What we're trying to find those systems that have been compromised or evidence of an active attacker within the environment.
Understood. Great. So in addition to that, with a changing regulatory landscape, so for example, for financial services as well as healthcare, how do you keep pace with all these regulations, especially given the fact that you're going to be launching new services and capabilities?
Sure. So we have to we have a significant portion of our work that has to do with different regulations. So we do a lot of work in the FedRAMP space. We also do a lot of work in the PCI space. We do have quite a bit of healthcare opportunities as well that we work on. Staying pace with these regulations in this world is getting to be challenging. There's a regulation for everything. In my opinion, I think it's done a lot of good for the industry to draw attention to the need for cybersecurity, but I don't think regulation is the end-all, be-all. The regulations don't make things better, but they make people pay attention, and those people make things better.
Yes, and now the CFOs are paying attention because the fines and sanctions as a result of not complying with the regulations will be quite stiff.
Come up a little bit on your mic.
Yes,
a little bit.
exactly.
So, I get the regulations part because I'm a cop, right? I'm all about that. And I found that no matter how hard we try, laws don't make people behave 100%. And that 10% of the population are still the people that say, I don't care if there's a law, I'm going to do what I want to do anyway, right? I happen to be one of those guys that does what I want to do anyway, but I happen to like to follow the law, right? But eventually, if I didn't want to, I just wouldn't do it. That's my personality. So these guys that attack and these hackers, my mindset of them is that they're bad guys, they're criminals, they're not super duper geniuses, they're smart. But that mentality that I want to mess up something somebody has, I want to take it away, I want to steal stuff, they're crooks. And that's a certain mindset,
Indeed.
right? Now, how do consulting companies look at these people? Because most cyber people I talk to think of them as evil cartoon geniuses that live in their father's basement and they can write code with their toes and do all these things. And I think we just took the approach of, you know what, you are one stupid criminal and I'm going to get you eventually. We might be more successful. I don't know. And I think sometimes regulations quash innovation. Because if I do the checkbox and say, you know what, check, I'm good, I don't have to think around and say, what's the future threat I'm not thinking about right now? See?
Right. And we see that in our client base right now. We're getting more requests for things that are beyond the compliance or the regulatory need.
Oh, good. Okay, good.
So that's where we have. It used to be we would do vulnerability way back when we started. We'd do vulnerability assessments and penetration tests were coming along, and that's where we would stop it. As we've evolved, that penetration testing isn't just against the network or beating your way through a firewall anymore. That penetration testing is focused on people, process, and technologies, the whole ecosystem. So as that evolved, it became pretty clear that the defensive ecosystem wasn't evolving as quickly as the offensive side was. So our offensive side went from penetration testing of people, process, and technology, to the red team operations. This is where we emulate that threat. So that attacker that you're talking about, that's what people are afraid of. That's what keeps other people up at night. So that's what we try to emulate. We emulate that on their behalf so they know what would happen if that's going to be the case. On our client side, the responding team to a red team is a blue team. So their blue team needs to be trained up to be able to find these things that are I'm going to say they're new attacks, signs of people that are individuals that are in the organization that have compromised the organization, and that are moving through the organization prior to exfiltrating data using just the features. So these things aren't easy to identify because they're post all that technology. Now they're just using the technologies and the features of the technology to be able to get the loot. And that's where a blue team operation being properly set up is key to this. It's not all about the firewall or the IDS anymore and the technology. It's about the actual threat hunters that are going and finding these individuals who've already compromised the environment.
I don't know why this question popped in my teeny little brain, but these things happen, and you happen to be the guy I'm going to ask a question to. I hear a lot of talk about a lot of super smart people solving problems, finding what's going on, identifying threats, stopping threats. Do any of these people ever get put in jail? And why not?
So the good guys and the bad guys. You mean the bad guys that are found?
Bad guys that are hacking, do they get... And even a good guy gone bad that's internal, that's an easier guy to catch. I put people in jail at the studios all the time because I know who they are and identify them. Hacker, I could have an argument that says, I don't know, it's Dorothy. He's in Russia. I can't do anything about it. But do we have a mentality of not just stop the bad guy, but catch him and prosecute him in the cyber world? I don't see it that much.
Attribution is hard. It's really hard to find someone who is attempting to go covertly through systems.
Yeah.
There has to be evidence left to be able to even identify the source, let alone the individual behind the source.
And it's different evidence in cyber than it is in the physical world, in a way. It's more difficult to explain.
Yeah. I mean, when there's evidence left behind, those things can be detected, so they're there, but you can't tell the person responsible for those operations. So attribution and ultimately putting somebody in jail is a challenge.
They use alternative identities, VPNs, proxy servers, but I touched on the particular point you made in forensics. Could you please describe, to our audience what your forensic capability will be going forward? Sure.
So we have a forensics capability. Our forensics capability is a post-containment forensics capability. We aren't an IR shop, an incident response shop. It's a challenging business proposition because it's hard to be the expert on everything and come in and handle an incident on behalf of a customer on their systems. The customers always know their systems better than we ever will. So the incident response capability is not something that we're looking to develop, but our forensic capability is it supports a company's internal incident response team. So an incident response team that is identifying systems or have questions if something is showing indicators of compromise. That's where we can come in, we can analyze the evidence, and we're able to show that basically root cause analysis. It's an augmentation to our hunt operations, but that incident response gap in the middle between hunt and forensics is something where we really count on our customers to be able to step up to the plate and be able to bring the resources to bear in the event there is an emergency.
Now, anytime you put a dot extension in consulting, it sounds expensive to me. Who can afford you guys?
Anybody can afford us.
Okay, good. Small business, right?
Maybe not anybody. So yeah, it's security consulting is not a cheap thing.
Right.
One can't expect to get solid consulting if you're paying the bottom dollar. So admittedly, it's not very cheap.
Medium-sized business might be your starting.
We are medium-sized businesses.
Okay.
Yeah.
The reason I ask is I feel sorry for the little guys who need it more than anybody because they're the ones that are getting attacked. Why are they getting attacked? Because they have no protection. Because they can't afford it.
I was just talking to somebody out in the vendor hall who was talking about how can you help me? I have a compendium of businesses that are all 25 to 50 people. 25 to 50 people with a little bit of infrastructure to be able to do testing in those environments. It's just hard to do. I mean, I feel that my heart goes out to them because that's a challenging environment. Yeah. It's just undersized. So having the right skill sets in-house to provide your own security operations for companies that small means that you get the jack of all trades. You get a guy who wears a lot of hats in a company. And as far as seeking outside help, those things can become pretty tough on budget.
What keeps Mike Weber awake at night? What do you worry about?
Wow, that's a great question. So what I'm worried about is Well, there's a lot of things I'm worried about. So, ransomware is a good example of something where an attack happens. These attacks happen against organizations now. We're seeing more ransomware as a payload, not a drive-by or something that's convenient. A system got compromised, and one system had ransomware. Systems that are, if used as a payload from an attack, that can take an entire organization offline for extended periods of time. We saw that with Petya. We saw that with WannaCry. But in a directed attack against one organization, I think that's pretty significant. It's not the end of the world, though. Good backup strategy that defeats the vast impact of ransomware.
Mike Weber, coalfire.com, COALFIRE.com, for my nieces and nephews who cannot spell, thanks to our great education system. Thank you for joining us here on SecurityGuideTV.com.
Thank you.
And Black Hat 2017. Mike, pleasure. Very interesting concept and great business model. Love it.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on the
Mike.
show.
Good luck.